Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Okay. So in last class we will be looking into work study, and from this class we'll be learning about the motion study. Okay. So we have to know what is motion study. So this motion study is like examining a worker's performance or the way he does the job based upon his motion or movement. Say, okay, as I told you while introducing this module to you, I told you how this is done. Say, for example, I have a mobile phone. I'm lifting it by there is some weight of this mobile phone. I'm lifting the mobile phone and I am placing it somewhere else. Okay, from one place to another place I'm placing. So there is a basically a work is done in lifting the mobile phone and placing it in somewhere near to me, so that so when we record this, so that action the actions involved in this process is called as motion study. So why we have to do this motion study? So this will help us to understand how the job has to be done more effectively without creating any fatigue in the labor or the operator who is working on the or for the matter any employee who is working to how to reduce his fatigueness or how the job can be simplified. Okay, there are different ways of doing a job because each and everyone will have a different style of doing a job. But what happens over a period of time to improve the production or improve the quality of the work what is being done, the workers will be trained to do certain things in certain way to improve the productivity and the quality of the work what they do. So that's why motion study is very very important. You can take the example of cricket. Okay, so everyone loves the way Sachin bats or Virat Kohli bats or Dhoni's favorite helicopter shot. Okay, so why we love this our Indian batsmen is this because of their batting style, the way they hit. Okay, Dhoni has a special shot. So each and everyone has a special way of doing the job. So what happens? The budding cricketers, what they do, they try to adopt the style of the cricketers, right? They try to adopt the style of the cricketers, like Sachin or Sehwag or Virat Kohli, whoever it is. So they try to adopt. So even while bowling, like I love the way the Zagir Khan bowls, for example. Like he after when he reaches the other end, like bowling end, like he jumps a little bit and lands. Okay, the way the Bumrah bowls, right? So there are different our favorite bowlers because we love them for their action, like Shane Warne or Muralidharan for the matter, or even our Ashwin. You take any example, we love them because the way they bowl. Okay, because that's the way like which differentiates them from others, or we can tell them that that's the way the ball can be bowled or the ball can be hit by the bat. So there's a certain way of doing these things. So generally what happens based upon the nature of depending on the nature of the batsman or the bowler, what happens, we love them, correct? Same way in a company, what happens when everyone is able to work in a similar way or in a synchronized pattern, what happens when they do when they work in a in a standard way, what happens, there's a uniformity in the things what they do, uniform products are being produced, and when they work in a synchronized pattern, there's a cost involved in the working. I told you there's a cost involved in this. So what happens when the workers are working effectively? Automatically, the productivity is going to improve, the quality is going to improve. So there is a economy based upon this. So based upon the workers' movement. Okay, imagine we never thought that, right? So if I walk in certain way or if I teach in certain way, how this is going to influence the economy of the place where I work. So that's one important thing. Okay, so motion economy. There's a principle we call as principle of motion economy because this decides the production, the quality, and how much happy your laborers or the employees are. So there's a big economy in this, even though that looks simple and small, but this has a very big impact on the company's profit. Again, we can classify this motion study into two things. One is called as micro motion study. The other one we called as MIMO motion study or macro motion study, micro motion study or macro motion study. Okay, what is this micro motion study? First, there are two things I told you in motion studies. There are two things I told you. One is micro motion, another one is macro motion or memo motion. Next, the first thing is called as a micro motion study. This was proposed by Frank Gilbert. What he did is he just videotaped or video recorded the way the workers work, and he classified the workers motions into 17 types. Okay, he classified that into 17 types. So that is, in the 17 types are called as therblings. So he named the motions as therblings. There are 17 motions by which the workers movement can be classified. And in micro motion study, what happens, the video recordings are recorded using the, after recording the video, the data are interpreted in terms of simo chart. Okay, we call it simultaneous motion chart. We learned this simultaneous motion chart in the recording section, like the first module, first part of this introduction class, when I was teaching about the recording options, we discussed about simo chart or the simultaneous motion chart. Okay, so why the study has to be conducted? So how this study conducted, or why this study is going to be conducted? Say for example, there will be a standard time of doing the things. Okay, there's going to be a standard time of doing things. Say for example, to write an exam, we give 3 hours. That's a standard time. You may ask how the standard time was set. Okay, depending upon the previous studies, depending upon the sampling what they done, they have determined that 3 hours is the standard time for any examinations. There's a lot of research behind that. Okay, so what happens here in micro motion study, I divide the motion of the, or the move, I divide the movements of my employee into different different elements, and that elements I will be for each and every element I will be conducting the I will video record. That means I'm going to collect the motion time data. Then after collecting the motion time data, I will note down the I will with the help of the thrumblings I may do the calculations, and I will the time actually required to do the job. Okay, so here what happens, uh, this will help me in avoiding unnecessary movement of the operator. Okay, how I can avoid the movement of my operators, that can be considered. Okay, so this way this micro motion study will help me. Then we have motion. To do this, we have, I told you, there's something called therblings. We have 17 therblings, like how like it's called transport empty, grasp, the symbols are G, and we have transport load, we have release load, use, hold, pre-position, position, assemble, disassemble, search, select, plan, inspect, and we have unavoidable delay, and we have avoidable delay, and rest. Okay, so there are 17 thrumblings listed by Gilbert. So but they're not using, they are not using this motion study thrumblings. They're not using this thermlinks. Okay, they are using 17 thermlink symbols. They will use only the symbols, like search. To search, there is an eye symbol with the eyeball. To find, it's again it's centered. Then select, grasp, transport, transport empty, positioning, assemble, use, disassemble, inspect, pre-position, release load, unavoidable delay, that is he is sleeping, then avoidable delay, then planning, he is thinking, the labor is thinking, then resting. Okay, so he's just ideally sitting down. So these are the common symbols which were used to study the motion of the working employees. So this is how they done. Then the next study is called as MIMO motion study, or it is also called as macro motion study. It was proposed by Mandel. So what is the difference between the two studies, micro and macro, or the MIMO motion study? What is the difference? Only difference is that the recording. Okay, in micro motion study, they record around 16 frames per second. Okay, 16. Sorry, here it should be micro. It should be micro. I should change this. Okay, so in micro motion study, what happens? They record the videos as 16 frames per second. Okay, I'm not good at this photography. If someone is good, you can explain me, right? So they are recording in micro motion study. There are 16 frames they are recording per second. Sorry, that's in Mimo motion study. They are recording 16 frames per second, whereas in in micro motion study they are recording 50 to 500 frames per second. That is per second. The number of recording is going to be high. Okay, so what happens? Like the slow motion is going to be ultra slow motion again. Normally, you record a video. Say, for example, we know like while playing cricket, the third umpire decides based upon this movement. They freeze the camera and they allow it to run it slowly. The slow motion cameras are there. So using the slow motion cameras, right, how many frames per second they can process based upon that. That's only the difference. Like that is again it's going to be micro to memo, like macro level study we are going to do. Okay, and in this case, in the micro motion study, we used SIMO chart, that is simultaneous motion chart. Whereas in MIMO motion study, we are going to use two-handed chart. Also, it is called as right hand, left hand process chart. Right hand and left hand process chart. Then we have otherwise we can also use cycle graph and chronocycle graphs. Okay, so chronocycle graphs you could see that that's available that's like a circle kind of thing will be there. If you could see some electrical students or electronic students, they will write a examination using this chronocycle graphs. Okay, so this using this cycle graph or chronocycle graphs, they will be able to do this study. And of course, the cost involved in this study is less because in micro motion study, you are recording the video at the regular speed how the operator works, and you are going to note down using thermlinks, and you are going to do the calculations for that. But in Mimo motion study, you need it's very simple. You can record it and you can do very slowly. So I mean the phase what you work can be reduced in Mimo motion study. So that's why people always prefer doing their study in Mimo motion mode. So based upon this, that we have the thing is called as predetermined motion time system. This is a part of MIMO motion study. The first type is predetermined motion time study. So this was proposed by Maynard. Maynard, we call it as Maynard operation sequence technique. Okay, Maynard operation sequence technique, or in common we call it as MOST. What they do is same way they divide the worker's movement into different time segments, and they conduct the time study like by using a stop clock or stopwatch. Then they give the ratings. Okay, to understand this better, to understand about this most technique, I will be sharing a research article with you which was published by your seniors from my earlier classes, earlier industrial engineering classes. People learned about most, and we conducted a real-time case study in a company which is located in the Vellore Bangalore highway, and we conducted the case study in that German company, and we published a paper also in this research article using this most technical. It's a very simple technique. Just we recorded the time, and we captured the movement of the employees, and we divided the time for that movement what we make. And apart from that, we conducted a simple stop clock time study. That is, we just recorded how much time it's consumed by each and every process, and we were able to make some calculations and propose some ways or some ergonomical changeovers in that company to reduce the operation time. Okay, so here what happens, the difference is in time study, after doing the work the time can be taken, but whereas in most technique you allocate the time for the operation what is going to be done. So that's the only difference. Then this PMTS is classified into, I mean, there are three different segments in this PMTS. One is work factor system, next we have method time measurement, then we have basic motion time study. In this work factor system, it is we are going to focus upon the body parts, the distance moved, whether it's manual control or it's automatic control or weight, or is there any resistance involved to the performing the job. Okay, this basically related to the fatigueness of the work. Next thing, how this technique or any technique can be used, or how it can, whether it can be added the existing technique, or how the any other technique, advanced technique can be used to reduce the work or to reduce the job of the operator. Then after that we have BMTS, that is basic motion time study, where we take the movement of each and every individual parts which is involved in of the human body, which is involved in doing a job. As I told you, the hand movement, like I lift the hand and I again bring it to rest. So that is a trembling code for this, or the PMTM score is for this. For the tremblings, we keep the score, and that score is will be used for calculating the job done by the employee. So like that we will be able to calculate the operation time or and the standard time for this job. Okay, so so far we have discussed about motion study, and the two types of motion study. One is micro motion study, and another one is called as macro or memo motion study. And I told you there is a lot of business or economics behind this process. Okay, so what is this principle of motion economy? So this is a very important question when it comes to the FAT examination or CAT examination. The principle of motion economy is very important. Okay, is that clear to you? Okay, hello,
Yes, sir.
is that clear? Okay, so
Yes, sir.
please try to understand what, yeah, good. So please try to understand what we are going to discuss now, because in exam point of view, without this there will not be any question paper. Okay, so I'm disclosing the question also. So what is this principle of motion economy? These are simple statements or general rules which you already know. Sometimes some rules or some principles will be new to you. Otherwise, most of the principles are which is already known to you, which we already practice in our workplace or even at home. Okay, what is that? There are the principles are classified into three headings. One is principles related to human body, and the principles and the arrangement of things in the workplace. Then you're going to use some tools and equipments to do the job. So how to do? So what is that? First we are going to say it's going to be on human body, like the sitting postures, the standing postures, the way you lift the object, or way you carry the object, like that. It will be on, that is called as principles related to human body. Next is principles related to workplace arrangement. Say for example, in which height I should place my laptop, how many hours I should use my laptop, what should be the height of the desk, what should the height of my study table, what is the how the bench wise can be fitted to the table, where I should fix that, where to keep how to arrange the things in my working place. All these things will come under the second principle, that is principle related to the arrangement of the workplace. The third principle is related to the design of tools and equipment. What is the design of tools and equipment? Say for example, you are using a mobile phone, you are using a laptop, how it is, or you are using a pen to write the examination, or the exam pad or whatever. So they are designed. Say for example, the mobile phone, it's easy for me to hold, it is easy for me to type single-handed or a double-handed. So depending upon that, you can the tool has to be, it should be weightless, you should be able to hold. There should not be any problem of shock, and that it should be holdable, there's a grip should be there. So all these things should be considered in designing the job. To the possible extent, we are going to avoid the um, uh, handling the job by direct hand. There should be always use of jigs and fixtures to hold the job, so that the tool can be used to operate on that. Okay, so every work which is around us can be studied by using the trembling. Okay, but trembling always consume, each and every trembling is going to consume some time. So we are going to study the motion, and we are going to calculate the time, and this will definitely will improve the economy of the company. That is, it will reduce the cost of the job being done, and it will improve the money which is behind that product, which is when it is sold. So this is the principle of motion economy. Now let's see one by one very deeply. So as I told you, first it's going to be the principle of human body. As you could read in front of you the slide, it shows both hands should start and finish their motions at the same time. Correct. When you're starting the job and finishing the job, when it's involving both hands, what happens? The load will act on both the hands, or it's easy to balance for you. Okay, both hands should be made idle simultaneously except while at rest. Okay, so like it's like what using one hand, if you carry it's the weight acting will be is going to be different. So you carry, like when you're carrying and lifting, keep it both hands should be come to rest at the same time. Okay, most of the time, to the possible extent, the action of arms should be symmetrical and simultaneous, like the movement should be equal. Then as far as possible arrangement, minimum, okay, we should avoid the we should try to reduce the movement of hands and body. And then always if there is a near as possible, because when you twist more, there can be a more pain in the shoulders. Okay, then you should be allowed to move freely within the workspace or the work volume, so that there should not be any control or restrictions in the movement. Then always the motion should be in a rhythmic fashion, or it should be in a, if you're doing a job continuously, there should be a rhythm. Like if you have rhythmic motion, you don't feel the real pain, or it will not be mentally, psychologically, it will not be affecting you. And you should try to avoid the search and find. That is, if you're searching continuously something here and there, and you will not be able to focus on the work what you are going to do. Then uh, uh, some kind of, it's like, say for example, some momentum should be there in doing the work. You know what is momentum, right? So, okay, so when you try to say, there should be momentum, but it should be, we should be able to minimize the momentum also, because the muscular effort of the operator can be reduced. Same way, in a workplace arrangement, you keep all the tools and workpiece, the tools and the workpieces near to you, so that you can avoid the time for searching. And so this you already do, right? When you're writing, you say, I know now you may not be following, but in school days, when you're writing the examination, you will keep the pencil, the sharpener, the eraser, the pen, sometimes the 2 3 pens, the scale. Some sincere, I'm talking about the most sincere students, right, who take examination very seriously, and they will make an arrangement. They will go 5 10 minutes before inside the examination hall. They set everything, and they will wait. They'll have the examination pad with the paper in it, margin in it, everything. I'm talking about that students. Okay, they arrange things very well near to them before starting the examination. So that's what in a workplace also, we arrange the laptops, or we arrange the things very properly, the nice workspace. We try to give us a very good environment. Okay, and wherever it's possible, we are trying to say, for example, bulk movement of items. We can use gravity feed bins, or we can use some container transfers. I hope you could have visited this. In Vellore, I saw this gravity feed bins. To understand it better, have you ever visited this showrooms like Sarana stores in Chennai, or the Chennai Silks in Vellore? By any chance, have you visited this Chennai Silks in Vellore? Any of you? Then the showroom which is newly opened a couple of years back, I guess. Have you visited that place? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Okay, so next time if you get a chance when you're back to the campus, you can, if you're visiting this Chennai Silks, I mean this, that's one example what is very, which is very close to us. There are a lot of places like this. Like what they do, they don't after you purchase the thing, they pack the item. That is a okay, let's forget about all those things. You know this star hotels, right? Star hotels, that they have this gravity feed, this bin system. Like there is a tunnel, even in we have this in our tt, in our tt we have this system. Correct. Like you can put your waste, or you can put the some items in the slot which is near to the water tank. In tt, I've seen this, that will automatically come to the down. It will come that where you can collect all the items. In 5-star hotels, they have this for the laundry people. They collect the used towels or the bedspreads, and they just throw it in the bin. It automatically comes down, and from where they can collect it. Or sometimes like a garbage can be the waste things are thrown there, it automatically comes down from where it can be collected. Okay, so that is the gravity feed bin system, or just like a hopper. You just add the items, it automatically comes down. So those are the gravity feed systems. Then you are going to use the tools or the materials with controlling levers, like the gear is very near to the while driving, and so, and you should also arrange the items to tools and work pieces based upon your operation. Like the best example could be a operation theater. In the operation theater, they will have the equipments arranged well based upon the operation what they are going to do. Same way, in a manufacturing company, you can arrange all the items based upon the sequence what you require. Your mother would also do this every day in the kitchen, like she will arrange all the items before she start cooking in a order in which she will require for doing the food or preparing the food. Okay, then there should be automatic disposal of the finished goods, like whenever you finish, you keep it you put it on a conveyor, it takes. Then adequate light, comfortable chair, convenient height of the workpiece should be provided. Then sometimes it could be better if you're able to use some color differences. Okay, in companies what they do, the rejected pieces, the work pieces or the products which failed the quality check, normally they will be put in the red color bin to know that should not be used again, or it should be scrapped, or it should be reworked. There are some cases where you will have green color bins which will be moved to the next stage for packing and delivery to the customers, like that. And tools and equipments, so you should be able to hold it, and to the possible extent you should try to use jigs and fixture which are foot operated. Normally this jigs and fixture are operated pneumatically or hydraulically. So to open the jig and push the jig, we can use a foot operated mechanism. So just like imagine there's a foot operated dustbin, right? You just go and press the pedal, automatically the lid opens. Same way you should make it work like that. Then always try to combine one or two tools together. There's a screwdriver which will have a star thread, and there will be flat ended screwdrivers. Once just like I take the lever, I reverse it, I can be able to work. Okay, then there's always try to combine more or two tools. Like you will have a spanner, one single spanner which can be used for tightening and loosening so many nuts and bolts. Okay, so you should provide some tools. Say some tool, when you are operating, especially I think the scissors, when you operate, one hole will be bigger, one hole will be small. So when you are using continuously, what happens, your one finger may pain. Okay, so that can be avoided. Then you can use the levers or the cranes that should be sufficient to the work. So sometimes I see people using small mouse. Okay, they wanted to be compact mouse, but what happens when they're using small mouse, their restrictions, their movement of hand, the finger movement restrictions are that's a restriction. But whereas when you use a convenient mouse, the big size, which can go inside your palms, that is better. Then so that and again the arrangement of levers, crossbars, and handle wheel should be arranged in a particular order depending upon the on the body position. So the best example could be your arrangement of gears in your automobile. So when you do, or when you facilitate the working environment like this, what happens, automatically the worker will be able to produce the products in a quality way, and also in a fast manner. So automatically that will increase the job, or the productivity, which will improve the economy of the company. That's why we call this as principle of motion economy. Okay, so do you have any doubt in this? So whatever we discussed, so we have discussed about motion economy, and there we studied about micro motion economy and memo motion, or we call as macro motion. Then we saw about the principle of motion economy. In principle of motion economy, again we saw about three types. One is for human body, arrangement of the workplace, then design of tools and equipments. And to do all these things, they are using something called as thrumblings. There are 17 types of thrumblings. In your examination, I will ask you to write this. I may ask you to write this tremblings, draw the tremblings, and you may be asked to draw the tremblings for a particular sequence of operations, and you may be asked to draw a two-handed chart for any operation which you use daily, like that. Okay. Technique. Okay. So if you have any doubt, we can discuss. Else, I will post the question because I know like we have another two classes, right? Do we have another two
Yes,
classes, right?
sir.
Before the
Yes, sir.
examination? Yeah, and I
Yes,
think that I will
sir.
be able to complete this. I mean, I will have some content for the next two classes to speak. Yeah, we'll discuss about work sampling in the next class and standard work in the another class, so that I will have some content to speak. Okay. So the next two classes it will be I'm going to cover only a little bit of syllabus. And for there's a part in yours in this module. You have there's a part called as ergonomics. Okay, ergonomics I can speak for 1 week or 1 month also, but I'll be posting you some YouTube videos for you to learn from ergonomics from there. Okay, ergonomics is a big wide topic. I don't want to go much deep into that. Just understand ergonomics is for doing things easily in our workplace. Only that is the concept, and safety. The major thing is to ensure safety. There's a lot of things to discuss on ergonomics. To cut short that discussion, I used to teach that there's 170 slides I used to teach that ergonomics part alone. But this time, considering the fatigueness, what is happening in this online classes, I don't want to teach the 170 slides for the ergonomics. Rather, I will give you the slides. I'll give you some nice videos for you to understand, because each and every moment there is a lot of ergonomics behind that. So how to sit in a class, how to sit in an office chair, how to lift the object, how to operate the cranes, like that, how to ride a cycle, what are the safety precautions to be done while riding while riding a automobile. So all there are a lot of things to speak about this ergonomics. What I'll do is I will just share some videos for you to understand it better. Okay, so this is what I have this for this class. What I will do is I will just try to post a form here. You can fill that for the quiz.
Sir, can we expect ergonomics questions in CAT 2?
Okay, I have posted the this thing. And